Wait. That's not the Favour? These are my assorted thoughts on the March 28th, 2025 WWE Smackdown. Welcome to Silent Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silent Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. I'm recording this March 30th, Sunday, around 7:30 in the evening. And 2 nights ago, well, rather 2 afternoons ago, Eastern Time, SmackDown had another really hot European crowd at the O2 Arena in London. And we're going to start right at the end of the show with an excellent closing segment. Honestly, this is probably my favorite contract signing in the past few years. This was great. I'm not really sure where to start, so I guess start with the crowd. I know it's more of like an outside of Great Britain thing, more of just sort of a general European thing, the soccer chants. But you know what? London and Britain has adopted this trait of their European brethren and sisterin. Roman Reigns. They sang that for Roman, just like they sang that for Cody. It's pretty simple. It's the first name, then the full name, and then the full name again. You could pretty much sing that for anybody, but they're only singing it for select people. I love how Roman was just soaking it in. You know, you're singing for your tribal chief. You know, he hasn't changed his character at all, but he became a babyface, and it still worked. That character still works. He's just the benevolent leader now rather than the tyrannical tribal chief. But also, I especially love when Paul Heyman starts singing too. He puts the microphone up to Paul Heyman. That was excellent. This was really entertaining. Seth Rollins, he brought up stuff about the Shield, and Rowan made a very good point. Like, what us? He didn't say, you're the one who hit me in the back with a chair and ended all this, but he could have. He pretty much said that. And I wasn't aware the O2 is where the Shield really made an impact, but apparently it was. And Punk, the Roddy Piper line at the beginning, I came to chew bubblegum and sign a contract, and I'm all out of bubblegum. That was great, but when it was revealed by Paul Heyman that this match was closing WrestleMania, they didn't say which night. I'm pretty sure it's the night 1 main event, not the night 2 main event. They could flip that, but I don't think they will. Although closing WrestleMania kind of implies night 2. When Paul Heyman said that, there was a real emotional moment of Punk. Like, I mean, you could tell there was real emotion, even though he was playing the character, but you could tell Phil Brooks, the real guy, was the one who wasn't able to main event WrestleMania, had it taken away from him by The Rock years ago, and one of the reasons why he ultimately left. Now, maybe Phil Brooks is okay with that now, but now the character CM Punk has the emotion, but you could tell there was some real emotion coming through and real affection from Paul Heyman. And I also, Seth's response to this was perfectly in character. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? But would Seth rather himself not go on last and not main event another time himself just to mean Punk isn't going to main event? I guess so. I was thinking Seth might pull himself out of the match over this. He didn't, and I don't think he will. But a one-on-one match between Punk and Roman is still an excellent WrestleMania main event. I was surprised Punk acknowledged his tribal chief, even sarcastically. He still made it work, even with the sarcasm. And yeah, I guess thanking Roman Reigns made sense, but also thanking Roman Reigns and doing the whole acknowledgement thing. You can see why Paul Heyman was saying no after the fact, is because by it being Roman who did this for him, Paul Heyman still owes him that favor, which he said, this is not the favor that I was owed. So got to wonder maybe this would have been the favor if Paul Heyman had to be the one to insist on Roman putting that into the contract. But no, Roman did it, maybe on Heyman's urging. So there's even mystery after this match. We have the triple threat match. It's signed. I think Seth might be wavering a little bit. We might just get one-on-one. But there's so much mystery, and there was so much. These are 3 of the top stars in the industry. This is a main event talent loaded main event. This is and this was, I think, the perfect way to make it official. Did you catch that AEW reference? Real Glass, Cry Me a River. Obviously, that was done intentionally. I mean, Punk had been sort of bringing up, making AEW references to audiences that largely have no idea what he's talking about. But this one, I think, was probably planned by WWE, maybe as a little favor to him. He got to, and also to show him how to do it. He walked by a car where Drew McIntyre had been smashed through the windshield, made a comment about glass, and instead of giving the line that Jack Perry gave to him, he just gave a little smile and nod and walked off. I think maybe Triple H is like, okay, here's your AEW reference. This is how you do it and how you look perfectly in character for our universe, because you're actually just laughing at Drew. Of course, Drew McIntyre was put through the car windshield and later tweeted, the glass was real glass. Got some in my eye. I don't know if that's true or not, but it did look good. It was Damian Priest who did it. He was waiting for him after he left to go on the town. I enjoyed this segment. I've seen people go through windshields before. I think this is really good for this feud. And what I really liked is the fact it was actually a guy in the car. It was very Grand Theft Auto. He's like, he gets out. He's like, that's my car. Damian Priest just choke slams him to the side. It's like, you got to wonder about the people whose cars these are. So one time I think they tried to say, Corey Graves said it was his car. There's a famous story of Jim Cornette, actually his car getting smashed by accident in the parking lot. But it's implying it's not just somebody who works for the show. It's just that guy. Obviously, that's an actor. But I thought that was a nice little touch. And moving backwards, Drew was celebrating because he had beaten Randy Orton in the match. I mean, okay, really. Kevin Owens came down, distracted Randy. Drew hit him with the Claymore. Basically, Randy Orton lost Drew McIntyre style, because that's what's been happening to Drew this whole time. And I'm just going to take a moment to pause. We got Drew McIntyre versus Randy Orton. Two guys who aren't feuding with each other, just in a match on a random, that London 02 Arena, huge crowd SmackDown, but a random SmackDown on the road to WrestleMania. I loved it. It was a great match. I mean, the ending made sense with the interference, because you want Drew to win, but you don't want him to, win like totally clean. So Randy's safe, Drew's safe. I was really glad we got to see this match. And I enjoyed the setup segment too. I mean, it was surprising that Randy came out to talk to Cody. Even more surprising that he admitted that, he's going for that championship. And then Drew, it makes sense he came out, but I was not expecting to hear Drew McIntyre music in this context. And even though Drew's a heel and Randy and Cody are both really over baby faces, the crowd were cheering for all of them at this point. I mean, Drew's also, if he's from Scotland, so Scotland's his home country. Wales is his backyard. I don't know what London is, but he is British. I mean, he's Scottish, but he's part of the UK. Not quite sure how that works. So kind of a hometown hero, even though he's a heel. I think the back and forth was great here. Randy made perfect sense. Cody, it's nice to see him talking to somebody other than John Cena. Of course, we're going to get that follow-up, but I was worried that The Rock might come down or Travis Scott to attack him when Cena's not there. I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm glad Cody just got his one segment at the beginning, and that we set up that really cool match between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Really good start to the show. Naomi cuts one hell of a heel promo. I honestly didn't know she had it in her. I'd seen her as such a baby face, but the pacing, the slow turn from, being upset and really, really emotional to you better watch out. The subtle Owen Hart tribute with the caution tape. I don't know if that was deliberate or not. And of course, she made sense to a certain extent. She's the classic in the vein of Drew McIntyre and even Kevin Owens. She's the Triple H justified heel. She's not she has her reasons, and they're very good reasons. They make sense. Her reasons for doing what she did. Of course, she ultimately did the wrong thing, but by being a bad guy. But we're going to see where this plays out. But no, that was a really good way to properly introduce Naomi as a heel. Meechin and B-Fab quickly befriending Jade Cargill and then getting attacked by Naomi seemed a little forced. But I mean, you had to find a way to get Jade out there and Naomi out there fighting. So this random alliance, maybe it'll turn into something in the future. Also, maybe Jade needs friends now that her only other friend, Bianca, is now on Raw, focusing on the Women's World Championship. And maybe Naomi will get some allies too out of this too. But I mean, it was a little forced, but fine. It got Jade Cargill out there. And we got that great stare down with Charlotte Flair coming out for her match, not caring there was something else going on in the ring. And to quote either Wade Barrett or Joe Tessitore, I'm not sure which one said it, Jade looked great dressed as Uma Thurman from Kill Bill. And that's clearly what she was wearing. But yeah, her and Charlotte, that's a future match. They managed to get a hint in this WrestleMania build for a future match. I mean, maybe if Charlotte wins the championship, Jade might challenge her. Who knows? And then Bianca wins the other championship, and then we have and somehow Bianca turns heel as champion versus I know there's a lot of ways we could go with this. Michin versus Charlotte Flair was a foregone conclusion that Charlotte was going to win. Wasn't that long a match. What everyone expected was going to happen happened. It was decent, but I like the Tiffany Stratton promo even better after Charlotte pretty much eviscerated her last week. I love how Stratton sort of turned the tables, saying, if I lose to you, I just lost to a legend in my first year on the main roster. But if you lose to me, you lost to what is it, inexperienced, silly, flippy, blonde, silly girl or something like that, whatever Charlotte called her last week. So, I have nothing to lose. You have a lot to lose. And that was a perfect snarky promo. I think maybe Tiffany last week was sort of, sink or swim with Charlotte, and she it seemed like she sank, but they turned it around, and now they're really sort of creating a new dynamic for this match. It's definitely the underdog versus the veteran who really doesn't care, who just sort of dominates that scene. So definitely makes everyone, I think, even more supportive of Tiffany. But back to the match with Charlotte, the one thing I am glad is that Michin was fighting somebody other than Chelsea Green or the Secret Hervis. And speaking of the Secret Hervis, I love the fact that they have a tag team named the Secret Hervis. I love the fact they have their coordinated outfits. They're a real tag team. They're associated with Chelsea. You know what? Maybe they could even be associated with a different Women's United States champion. But no, I think it works really best with Chelsea. I also love the fact that Alba Fire, when they came in, started patting down the referee before the match. It's clear, even though that's the referee who's sort of in charge of basically making determinations about you. You're making a determination about him. It was hilarious. It was funny. I there was not a big enough close up on the referee. I would have loved to have seen his face. Maybe he reacted like, "What the hell's going on?" I don't know. The match was good. They did win. I didn't expect anything different than them winning, but they beat Caden Carter and Katana Chance, who we haven't seen in a while. I'm going to say SmackDown is definitely the place for them because, especially in London, Friday night, they could go out after the show to the clubs and they don't have to worry about showing up at work at Raw on Monday. Back when they were on Raw, it's like they're clubbing on the weekend. I know these two probably don't go to clubs at all. They're not really party girls. They're athletes, but their gimmick. I'm sort of going along with their gimmick. And yeah, okay, fine. They were kind of sacrificial lambs to the Secret Hervis, but them and Zelina Vega, and I think they're going to keep this. Maybe there's going to be a 6-woman match at Mania, or maybe we're just going to get the United States Championship match with all the other women around the ringside. But I think Zelina versus Chelsea could be potentially a very good feud. It started off kind of weird with the numbers game against Piper, but they could stretch it out. Maybe I think they should. I would love it if they had a Mania match because I want to see Chelsea Green on Mania with her Secret Hervis. But I definitely think that that's a program that we could go with. And again, I'm glad it's not Chelsea versus Michin again. And what I think is incredibly cool is they're inducting matches. I mean, officially moments, but really matches at this point. This is a match into the WWE Hall of Fame along with people. I think they're calling it moments so they can pick things that aren't entire matches. But in this case, it is a match. And what a perfect one to start with. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13, the famous double turn. That's where Austin got the Crimson Mask. And it was a submission match, but he didn't submit. He passed out, so he lost. And Bret Hart started the match as a babyface, left it as a heel. Austin started the match as a heel, although kind of an overwent, and left it as a top babyface, and that's what continued things in motion. Following the Austin 316 promo, that match continued things in motion towards his ultimate winning of the World Championship at WrestleMania 14 and kicking off the Austin era or the Attitude Era, or at least the Austin portion of the Attitude Era. I still think WrestleMania 14 is where the Attitude Era officially began. But also, they're going to have Bret Hart and Stone Cold at the Hall of Fame. They already announced Stone Cold's going to be there for the big autograph thing. I can't remember what it's called. WWE World, yeah. But the thing is, they got Austin in town. He's there for the Hall of Fame. He's there for that. I think he might show up, to neutralize The Rock in Cody's corner versus The Rock in Cena's corner. I think that's what everyone's thinking. I think just having them there for that, for the Hall of Fame is great. But of course, everyone's thinking, does this mean Stone Cold's going to, show up in the main event like everyone thought he would last year? I hope so, but it's still nice to see those guys. Jimmy Uso versus The Miz was a good match. It was a competitive match. I thought it would be maybe less competitive, almost a squash, because Jimmy does have to face Gunther on Monday. But no, The Miz is good. He can't be beaten in 2 minutes all the time. And it's a legitimate victory for Jimmy Uso, and it's something that might continue later. I don't know where Jimmy's trajectory is going. It's pretty much helping out Jay right now. And he might get, his ass kicked by Gunther to give Jay more reason to, want to beat Gunther, stuff like that. But I did really enjoy Jimmy's promo to the audience on the announcer headset. I don't think that was broadcast, but then to the whole crowd, it was great. He got them to go yeet. So the yeet is maybe it's a Jey Uso thing, but maybe it's becoming like an Usos thing right now. And maybe Jey will win the World Heavyweight Championship or not, but maybe at some point he might end up back in the tag team. He's had his main event singles run, but they'll definitely bring the yeet with him into the Usos. See where we go with that. But it was nice to see that. Good match on the show. Generally pleased with the matches on the show overall. The few exceptions like the Charlotte Meechin one, but yeah, I'm liking this show. I wasn't so thrilled with the Braun Strowman LA Knight match because I think we all knew what was going to happen. At some point, Jacob Fatu was going to come in and cause a disqualification and attack Strowman, and sure enough, he did. And then LA Knight tried to attack him at one point. He put LA Knight down, but he mainly concentrated on Strowman. And we got that bit backstage where he's basically, where Solo's like, what are you doing without us? You were without me last week. I just wish they would get Jacob Fatu a WrestleMania match. I'm hoping it's not against Braun Strowman. I want it to be either against LA Knight for the championship or against Solo Sikoa. No offense to Braun Strowman, but if he's supposed to be a babyface and he's fighting Jacob Fatu is going to be the babyface in that match. And unless they want to turn Braun Strowman heel, we've already seen this match a few times. Who knows? See where that goes, but I wish that this match seemed kind of like superfluous. I wish they had taken a step towards getting a United States Championship match for WrestleMania and getting Jacob Fatu into Mania. Of course, it might just be like a fatal four-way. Of course, maybe that's what they're setting up. Solo, Jacob, Strowman, and LA Knight. I'd be okay with that. It's just we already have a triple threat main event. We have a triple threat women's championship match. If this is a fatal four-way, the Intercontinental title match better be one-on-one. That's all I'm saying. Again, Jason, trust the booking. We'll see where this goes. The Street Profits versus the hometown, or at least home country, Pretty Deadly for the WWE Tag Team Championships was a good match. There were plenty of hope spots for Pretty Deadly, but I think we kind of knew where this was going. It was Street Profits' first title defense after winning their first championship in 4 years. They weren't going to take it off them on the first title defense, despite the fact that Pretty Deadly are clearly the hometown favorites because they're British. Pretty Deadly might win it at WrestleMania in a multi-man match, but I think it would have been better for them if they won it in England. But still, the match was enjoyable. But again, it was hampered by the fact that I think, for me, that I knew what was going to happen. And even though there were hope spots, I didn't fully believe it. And what happened. Good first title defense for the Street Profits, though. And Pretty Deadly didn't look that bad. And these were my assorted thoughts on the March 28th, 2025 WWE Smackdown. Smackdown from the O2 Arena in London, England. There's one more Raw from the O2, and then they're back to the States, but then it's the WrestleMania build. The crowds are going to say, I'm hoping the crowds in the States and maybe in Canada start. It's a very simple thing. You pick the wrestler's name, wrestler's first name. Like, I'll do it with my own name. Jason C. McLean, Jason C. McLean, something with Roman Reigns or with Cody, at least it's a very simple chant. Let's adopt that everywhere. It's going to be one of those, it's going to become as obnoxious as the what chants at some point if everyone starts doing it. So maybe just keep it for I don't know. But I definitely enjoyed this SmackDown. The last segment was incredible. Some of the promos were great. Some of the matches were a bit predictable, but then having that Drew McIntyre, like Randy Orton match out of nowhere, that was really fun. I was very happy with this SmackDown. Did you agree with my assorted thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Oh, and also I started a Blue Sky for myself. You can follow me there. I don't really have that many followers. JasonCMcLean.bsky.social. So I think that's how you find me. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications to get all my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, WWE Premium Live Event prediction and review videos, a new type of video that's coming out soon. We're doing some experiments here. And of course, assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown. I'll be back with my assorted thoughts on Raw. I'll catch you next time for Silo Voice Studios in Montreal. I'm Jason C. McLean.